How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome back to a brand new rumor video, guys. Today we're going to take a look at a bunch of different things, so sit back, relax, and grab yourself a beverage. Let's get started. First things first is going to be this post brought to us by Central Leaks. Now, he did get something wrong at the start here, and I will correct it because he got it wrong, and a lot of people have corrected him on it. But it is about potential spoilers for the Pokemon Horizons anime. So if you are a viewer of the Horizons anime, which is relevant, by the way, for all things to do with Pokemon, even Legends EA and stuff like that, because remember, the anime and the games and everything is connected. Like all the stuff that happens in the games and the anime, it all kind of connects together. But basically, he got a little bit of information wrong in the beginning here, but the rest of it should be pretty correct. So let's get into it. He says, spoilers ahead. It's a potential leak about the future of the Pokemon anime. And then lists the following. The current Pokemon Monsters or Pocket Monsters 2023 series will end, I guess that's what he's trying to say. It's just going to be the ending of it. This is the part where he got it wrong, I think, because I think people have been able to correct this because he just sort of machine translated the new, like, some of the leaked stuff for the next chapter of the Horizons anime. But again, that's the one part that isn't correct. However, the next part, though, is somewhat correct, which is that it's going to be called Mega Voltage, the next, like, arc of the anime for Pokemon Horizons, and it's going to be, I mean, it says a new anime, but it's not going to be a new one. It's probably going to be a continuation, most likely a new arc. If it is a new one, then fair enough, but it's going to be a new arc, and apparently we're going to get to see grown-up Lyco and Roy. So the main characters of Pokemon Horizons are going to be grown up in this new arc. They're actually going to, like, time skip forward. But that's not all. They also give some spoilers for, like, Pokemon. For example, Lyco, she's going to have a Meowscarada. She's going to have Hatterim, and Terapagos, which is going to be inactive in this Pokeball. Roy is going to have a Kilowattrel, Crocalor, as well as a shiny Mega Lucario and Captain Pikachu. Because, of course, the Mega part of it makes a lot of sense. Keep in mind, Legends EA is going to be going all in on Megas, so they got to make sure there's a connection between there, because in the past with game like X and Y, they could just have Ash travel to the Kalos region and experience Mega Evolution. Here, because there isn't really as much of a connection, I mean, there's clearly a connection because you do have Paldea present in the Horizons anime, and you do have Terapagos and Terastallization. But, like, it just is like, how do you implement Lumiose in there? Well, this is what they're doing. They're time skipping forward, apparently, at least based on this. And they're going to be getting a bunch of Pokemon, and in this case, they're going to be getting shiny Mega Lucario, specifically for Roy. They also say that Dot is the one who has changed the most, Quaxwell and Tinkertuff, and then a new boy character, Ult, who owns a Mega Ring. His Pokemon is Sableye. Okay. Roy's acquaintance and also a rival, potentially, which is fair enough. The protagonists now appear to be around 16, 17 years old. That's the biggest part, right? Now, he does correct it here underneath, though, saying, regarding the first point, it could just be a new arc for the for overall the Pocket Monster series. It's not clear at this point, which is fine. I do think a lot of people like Pokisutami do give great translations in case you want to see, like, potentially what this actually is related to, if that's what your interest is. I would recommend just checking that out because it would probably be a lot more helpful. But yeah, there's just that point in case you're curious about it. There's that. Now, that's the first piece of information. And then the next thing is something fun I want to show, which is a drawing here by Sarah Hollenbach, who made a Ash edit for, like, the main character for Kalos, or sorry, not Kalos, for Legends EA and for Lumio City, like the main character is going to play as. I think it's pretty cool. It's just a good idea of, like, what Ash could look like. So just wanted to share that real quick. And then we're going to move on to the next thing, which is going to be this post by Soul, and it's mostly just about, like, potential Megas or regional variants. And what he says is, what do you think? Will the Pokemon Legends EA Final Evolution starters get Megas or regional forms? I'm Team Megas, though it hurts me to say, but I prefer regional forms. I've been saying for months that if this game is truly a new Mega Evolution game, then Game Freak wants it to be the main feature. And this is something I've already said a million times. I will reiterate that I do not think we're going to get a single regional form in this game. It doesn't make sense to have regional forms, given that they're probably going to have a lot of new Megas. And if they have a bunch of new Megas, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to also include regional forms on top of that, because that's just extra work. And also, it doesn't make sense for story-wise, right? Like, explanation-wise, because the time frame of when we're going to Lumio City is, practically speaking, only like maybe 12 years into the future from X and Y. There's no way that in 12 years Pokemon would have evolved and changed to their environment to such a drastic degree as they would here. Plus, if you think about another thing, these Pokemon that we've seen here, right, the Pokemon that have been chosen as starters, the reason that they were chosen most likely is because these are 3 Pokemon that actually already appear in the Pokedex for Kalos, and we've seen their final evolutions. We've already seen Meganium, Emboar, and Feraligatr in Pokemon X and Y, in Kalos, so we know that they wouldn't have a special evolution. That's enough proof. I don't think you need any other proof besides that. That's the one piece of proof that you need to explain this sort of thing, right? And then you might, argue like, oh, but what about, Typhlosion and etc., Samurott, all that stuff? Well, they were in Hisui, which is in the past. And these Pokemon, I'm for a fact, I know that Samurott and Decidueye never appeared in, the original, like back in Sinnoh at all. Typhlosion is the only one that I am not certain of. I don't know if you can get Typhlosion in Gen 4. In any of the games of Gen 4 besides like Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I'm not actually sure, I'm going to be real with you. But they have a more reasonable explanation, right? Is that those Pokemon were never brought over, and then when they were brought over, their evolution adapted to the environment differently. So that makes sense. However, these 3, the starters we do have for Pokemon Legends EA, these have already been in this region for a long time. They've already fully evolved, so it makes no sense for them to now all of a sudden, just 12 years later, be like, you know what? The 3 of us are just going to be different now. It makes no sense. Whereas a Mega makes sense because technically speaking, I think every Mega could actually Mega evolve. It's just that it needs a specific rock that matches their, the Pokemon it's, for. And that's something that can be quote unquote found, right? They can always find Mega Stones and stuff. They can always like be a new discovery versus regional forms, which that requires like time, right? To make sense. A lot of time, which they haven't had enough time between X and Y in this game in terms of in-game lore to explain it. It just doesn't make any sense. So Megas is what makes the most amount of sense in my personal opinion. But again, you guys can disagree. You can tell me down below why you think it's not that way and why you disagree. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions because maybe I'm misunderstanding something. But again, your thoughts would be appreciated. Moving on to the next thing, which is specifically about the sort of customization options we might have in Legends EA. So here's what Soul posted. What's the fit you'd prefer for Legends EA? You already know I'd be loving those suits and top hats. This is something he posted a while back. Now the thing is, he was going based off of like old school like outfits if this game was set in the past, which we now know for a fact Legends EA is set not in the past but in the present time, right? Or like very, very close future from X and Y. But yeah, it's set in our current time. Then he also showed like some ideas for what a futuristic look could look like. But in the end, he says, see anything familiar? In my opinion, it's a shame that we aren't in old Paris, but that's because I love history and culture. And I think when he says see anything familiar, I think he's talking about the little top hat here. This top hat, which is exactly what we see on the actual main characters. You do have the main character guy and girl like kind of wearing little fedoras of sorts. So there is some elements of that design in there, which is pretty cool. But I guess you could argue that also, Callum and Serena kind of had those hats too. So maybe it has less value, but again, it's interesting nonetheless, just to bring up in general. So yeah, again, your thoughts and opinions will be appreciated. I think customization in this game needs to be good because Scarlet and Violet had terrible customization, like genuinely horrible customization options. It's kind of necessary that we get something better this time around to kind of remedy the shit show that was that game, or those games, because those were terrible for customization. I don't care what you say. If you enjoy Scarlet and Violet, that's fine. You cannot tell me they had good customization in those games. It was terrible. It was genuinely horrible customization options. It was not good. Nobody can argue it was, because it wasn't. It literally was not. You could barely change your character's outfit, and when you could change it, it was such a limited quantity. It didn't allow any. It's like to that point, just don't even allow customization at all. Just remove customization fully, because at that point, we might as well go back to Pokemon Red, Blue, Green, Yellow, all that stuff, where you just have one singular character, one singular outfit. That's just better at that point than giving me 5 outfits that all look practically speaking the same. It's a little ridiculous, but I digress. Moving on, though, we have a post from Light. He actually has 2 posts here, and it's comparing the map of the original map from the first trailer, the teaser trailer, and then comparing that to, in this case, the actual world we saw in Scarlet and Violet, like the actual gameplay. And as you guys can see, if we zoom up on this image, you will notice that there is actually a lot of correlations to the areas. Like you can kind of, compare and contrast it and see that there is actually going to be a lot of space to explore. I mean, all these locations, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 distinct locations all around the map. The only thing though is maybe the variety of stuff you can do on the surface in terms of the biomes is going to be a little bit lame, because it's just a singular city, and Pokemon is the type of franchise where almost you feel like you need different biomes, like a little bit of mountainous, some snow, some beaches, some stuff like that. You don't really have that here. So the only way you can have that is if it's underground, right? I mean, we know we can go on the roofs, we know it can be on the ground floor, but underground is where we need to go to be able to find locations like that. Because we know, first of all, we know the Pokemon likes doing undergrounds. They did it in Gen 4, they did it in Gen 4 remakes with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. There is an underground under Sinnoh, which you can explore. But again, that's only one part. You also have the catacombs, which is a real place that's underneath. It's a series of tunnels, very, very, very long tunnels that run underneath the city of Paris, which is what Lumio City in Legends EA is based on. So it makes total sense that that would be something that would be present, an underground location where we can go and capture more Pokemon and find more biomes and more variety of Pokemon, as well as potentially finding legendaries like Zygarde hiding down there, which again would make a lot of sense. And you guys can see the comparison here of the locations. There's also this image as well. If we open it up, and this is actually a comparison of the map from the official website, and you can actually see again where all the connections are, like the actual locations for all this, which is really freaking cool because it shows you just a general idea of how large the place is. Like there's going to be enough to explore here, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be as big as like Arceus necessarily, maybe, or something like Scarlet and Violet. Like maybe it's going to be smaller. Like another thing that really like isn't really fun, I would say, is, you know, why are we not going to be able to enter buildings? Because you can already tell from the trailer that we're not going to be able to enter all the buildings, which is something that really sucks. And it was something that was terrible about Scarlet and Violet. You have no access to any buildings. You cannot go inside here, there, anywhere. It's just, there's nothing you can do, which is really lame. It's really lame. It's really annoying because it'd be nice if we could enter buildings and actually explore different locations and talk to everybody inside those buildings. But they just decided to remove that from Scarlet and Violet, and it seems like they're going to keep that premise here. We're not going to be able to enter buildings, which really sucks. But again, I digress. Moving on, though, we have a bit of a post here from specifically Pokebeach, and it's about Destined Rivals, which is going to be the booster pack or the booster set featuring Team Rocket. Now, we already knew about this. It was already leaked last year that we're going to be getting a Team Rocket set. Now we actually know what it's going to be. So here's the I guess artworks for Destined Rivals. It's going to be featuring Giovanni, of course, because it's going to be a Team Rocket styled one, based one, which is going to be cool. I kind of want to get some of these, but I'm trying not to spend money on dumb shit. And in my case, dumb shit is cards, because it's a lot of waste of money, even though I'd love this card. This card, peak. But yeah, point I'm trying to make here is that yes, leaks actually do come true. In this case, here you go. The TCG leak for TCG for the Team Rocket set is real. But also, another thing that is important about this is that because this is real now, we know that the next year essentially is going to have to be filled with the anime going into a new arc that's going to be related to the Megas, as well as the TCGs having to sort of start a new kind of formula, right? And that's going to be starting with that new EX, like, what is it called? Like Mega EX cards, right? That's going to be a new thing. So the question then is, like, are these cards going to be part of that new, like, format? Because they're going to have to, like, reset it because Scarlet and Violet cards are going to be done for. Like, this isn't even going to be part of the current set anymore, of the Scarlet and Violet set, and this generation, which is really strange. So it's really just a big question of how will this work? And of course, this set is set to be releasing in March 14th. So Destined Rival booster pack artwork comes from Japan's Heatwave Arena set, releasing on March 14th, and then the Glory of Team Rocket set are releasing on April 18th. The latter hasn't been officially revealed in Japan yet. We also posted before, our Destined Rival set will be sources cards from Heatwave Arena, and of course, Steven Metagross EX and Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX decks, and the Glory of Team Rocket featuring Rocket's Mewtwo EX. So again, it's an interesting time right now because the TCG is having to adapt to the fact that there is no new generation of Pokemon. The anime has to adapt to the fact that there's no new generation of Pokemon because we do not know, like, I mean, we know, okay, we do know. We do know how long it's going to be for a new generation. We know a new gen's going to come next year. But normally, this would have been the year for a new generation to release, which it hasn't, which means they have to fill the gap with something. In this case, they're filling it with Legends EA and Mega Evolutions for everything. Mega Evolutions for the TCG, a Team Rocket set to keep people busy, because I think they release Pokemon sets like every, 3 months, so like one set per quarter and like expansions and stuff in between. Sometimes it happens a little bit earlier, sometimes a little bit later, but like every quarter. So you got to release at least like 4 sets in a year, I would assume. If I'm getting the numbers wrong here, you guys can correct me in the comments. But like, you got to release a lot of sets in a singular year. They already have Team Rocket to cover for like the end of this quarter and like going into like the next quarter. So you got that. But then you have like the rest of the year still. And keep in mind, we have all of next year, right? All of next year that they still need to fill with content for people to consume, because the TCG is constantly churning, right? And it constantly needs content to keep churning. So they're gonna have to do probably a lot of like Legends EA related stuff, because keep in mind, Legends EA will be out by the time we get to the end of the year. So for the next year, they can literally just do like 4 sets into the next year and end the year off with the next generation having a set for then. So what I'm trying to say is, like, it's kind of pushing it right now in terms of like, they don't have a lot to work with. They only have like, they really only have the Legends EA game as a promotional tool for all this, because you got to understand, Pokemon games are just giant billboards for advertising. Every time a new game comes out, that's kind of what boosts like, a lot of numbers and stuff. I mean, Pokemon doing right now, it is doing pretty well with the TCG in terms of sales and everything, because you have a lot of people just scalping and all that kind of shit, just buying out entire supplies just because they have an Eevee set, because for some reason Eevee is just, I don't know why. I don't know why evolutions are that popular, but they are. So they're selling out like crazy. So it's not like Pokemon is scrounging for money, but you got to understand it from a business perspective. They want to keep pushing, right? You want to keep getting stuff out. And right now, Pokemon is generally speaking in a bit of a, in a bit of a lull, because there hasn't been a new generation in 3 years now. I mean, generation, what is it? Holy shit, generation 9, right? Yeah, Gen 9. Scarlet and Violet came out in like what, 2022 at this point? Damn, 2022. So it's been 3 years since they came out. So next year is going to be 4 years. It's going to be the first time in forever, in almost 5 generations worth of Pokemon. It's going to be the first time in a long time that we're not having a 3-year gap, but a 4-year gap, that's pretty big, okay? It's pretty big, which also makes me wonder for the future if they're going to keep doing it like that and doing it only like every 4 years. I don't know. But they do have the whole new Pokemon game, Pokemon Champions, which I do want to talk about. I do want to make a whole video about Pokemon Champions, how it's going to affect Pokemon going forward, my theories on what they're going to do with Pokemon Champions and all that kind of stuff. I want to do an entire video on this. I'm going to probably do that either tomorrow or the day after that, so either Thursday or Friday. But basically this week you're going to get 2 big videos where I'm going to go through exactly those things. But for now, that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you all for watching. I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Peace out and bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day.